Good morning, everyone. I feel like I've just started that like a primary school assembly, where you should all say, good morning, John. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Hancock.
That's excellent. Well done. Good stuff. Hello, welcome to the Bossing It session. My name's John Hancock. I'm the Managing Director of Three Arrows Media. For the next hour, we are going to be digging into what it's like to start your own company. According to the Office of National Statistics and a brief Google search I did some months ago, in 2023, there were 184,000 businesses in the UK within the area of arts, entertainment, recreation, and other services. I don't know what that means either. So why would you consider adding to that number? This session is much more about the if and when it is right to start a company, exploring the why and why not of doing it. It is not a how to start a company. We are not going to be talking tax returns and Companies House today, I promise you. And so, hopefully, you will have an opportunity to ask questions and to leave with some small crumb of wisdom from us all, but no small amount of enthusiasm to fuel you through the rest of the conference. So, as you can see, we have an esteemed panel of guests here, and I'm going to give you a quick run-through of who they are so they can just look awkwardly towards you as I give a quick rundown of who they are. On my left, we have Lou. Lou, with a background in animation and advertising, Lou is the co-founder and CEO of Cumbrian-based Plus 3K Animation Studios. In addition to developing their own original IP, Plus 3K most recently completed 2 seasons of My Friend Misty for Sky Kids. Can we give Lou a little round of applause? On Lou's left, we've got Katie and Lottie, having met and worked together at BBC Children's. Katie and Lottie co-founded King Banana TV, aiming to make a difference in kids' lives. Their flagship production, Yakadee, is doing that by the bucket load, and they're currently in production with animation Nikhil and Jay with Paper Owl Films. Give them a round of applause, please. On their left is Hisham, previously at the BFI with the Young Audiences Content Fund, and before that at BBC Children's. Hisham is a media and entertainment lawyer providing services to indies, broadcasters and organisations in the media production community. Welcome, Hisham. And finally, Remy. From a background in advertising, Remy is a writer, artist and IP creator, now with development partners worldwide, thanks to her having established company Hey Daisy Moon. Welcome, Remy! Good stuff. Now, I would like to point out that all the companies represented here are between the ages of 18 months old and 8.5 years old. At best, we are at SAT's level of kind of business experience and knowledge. So yeah, we do not pretend to know anything other than our own experiences of having started a business. But we would love to open the doors to that to you today, and just to be honest and open with you. What we'd love to do is to try, and I'd like an ooh here, a little bit of interactivity. Ooh. And so, please get your smartphones out and go to this, or use this QR code, ping, that's going to pop up in just a second. Tim, could we have the QR code up? There we go, brilliant. We would love you to hop onto that, and you will have the ability through Mentimeter to ask questions at any time. They're not going to appear on the screen, but feel free to drop a question in, and I will try and moderate those and ask them throughout the session. Give us a thumbs up if you're there. That's fantastic. You can give me as many thumbs up as you want. That's marvellous. Good stuff. And we're just going to start with a couple of things, just to try and gauge a sense of who is in the room so that we can then tailor questions accordingly. And so, your first question is a simple vote. Who here owns or runs a business? You can say, yes, I do. No, I don't. I'm thinking about it. Or, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong session. And we're hoping that's not going to be excellent. There's one person. 2, that's Banks and Wag. Okay, great. That's good to know. Thank you. We were observing you all coming in going, well, they own a company. They own a company. Oh, my goodness,
we
they
were
own a
saying,
company.
oh, they own one and they're way more successful than us. Oh, no, they should be here. What?
Okay, that's great. That's really good to know. And then, again, just to ask a question another way. Now, just to say, the way that this operates, you can drag up into the top part of your screen as many of these categories as you want, but you don't need to put them all up in there, and then you can put them in order. So just to get a sense of who's in the room, are we more the ideas people? Are we more the kind of writing or music, live action or business affairs? I'm aware that that's not an exhaustive list. This is very exciting, isn't it?
It's so exciting. It's like election night.
Okay. Oh, Tories are in. No, Labour. There we go. Okay, that's great. Thank you, everyone, for interacting with that. There will be more interactivity later on. I know, very exciting, isn't it? Okay, let's start then with observing the fact that there is a slight majority in the room who are doing what we have all done. And maybe they've come in here thinking that they've been as as courageous as we have. Lou, I'm going to come to you first. Look, we know that it's a really challenging time in the business at the moment. It's hard at the best of times, and it's most certainly not at the best of times. So, how are you finding it at the moment?
Tough question to kick off. Nice. I find that this year has been particularly challenging. I know I speak to a lot of people who's saying the same kind of thing, but I think with every down, there comes a high. Positivity. We're all about the positivity. And I think as long as you've got that passion and drive to do something that made you start it in the first place, it's that magical, crazy idea that made you start the business that will always keep driving you forward.
We've already had a question come in. I'll tailor this to King Banana. Someone saying, am I mad to start thinking of a production company in this climate?
Well, it depends, I guess, doesn't it? What situation you're in. Go on, Lottie, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say yes as a start point, because I think everyone can probably relate to that. But yeah.
You need a bit of madness as well, I should think.
Yeah, definitely. Mad ideas are us is definitely useful. No, I think, like Katie says, it does depend what situation you're in, and just you have to work out whether it's the right thing for you to do at the right time, really. And also, I think something that we've found is that starting a business can mean any number of things. There's not one size fits all. If you're going into business, it doesn't necessarily mean you're definitely going to have a massive office with loads of people working for you. We're a very small indie, micro indie, and we kind of have very small number of very dedicated people who all work remotely. And so we haven't got an office space. We don't have those kind of overheads, and we kind of upscale and downscale depending on what we're working on at any one time. So I think you can kind of also tailor it to fit you a bit as well. You can be a business by yourself and just sort of freelance through a business if you want to, or you can bring on other people or partners, or, so it is very much dependent on what's right for you, I think. Yeah. But it is hard, it is tricky, and good luck if you decide to do it.
Hisham, you have a different viewpoint to the rest of us, because you get to see a broader spectrum of companies with the services that you provide. Presumably, anyone here thinking that they would like to start a company, you would say, most certainly yes, and here's my card.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly the case. Yeah, I've got boxes of cards if anyone wants them. As stating the obvious, work is quite thin on the ground, but for me, it's gone okay. I'm almost 2 years into it now, and I work across children. My background's primarily children's, but I work across children's and grown-up TV, and it's I'm kind of different to these guys in that it kind of I'm not creative in any way. I'm reliant on.
Don't say that, Hisham. Your logo is.
Thank you. It's probably.
No, you're right. Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah.
But it's lean times. But yeah, it's fine.
And Remy, I'll come to you because you felt, and we obviously talked about this beforehand, that becoming a company really gave you lots of access and connections to people that it hadn't done beforehand. Could you say a little bit about how that helped you?
Yeah, totally. So before I was in advertising, and then I was kind of like freelancing, and I felt like having a company just really opened doors to talk to people, meet people, just have opportunities to come to things like this, that are, like Kids Screen and just international conferences I just wasn't going to, and talking to different types of people that I was just not meeting before. So I really felt like, it was just really just really wanted to have different chances and talks and just kind of present yourself in a different way than I kind of was presenting myself before. So I've thought it was really useful in that way.
And so let me ask a question to anyone who wants to chip in. What does success look like for your business?
I mean, a profit margin's always nice, but yeah, I think for me, I think the key thing is working on stuff that just makes you excited to get up in the morning, and it's working on projects that make an impact and make a difference. And as cliche as it is, but it's like, when you start a business, it's because you think you could change the world, right? It's like some little thing that you could bring that would make a difference in someone's life and make someone smile. And to know that you're part of that is magic.
Yeah.
I was going to say, when you first said, what does success look like to you? I mean, it's staying employed. It's being able to pay the mortgage, in all honesty. If we can be employed doing what we want to do, that's success. And the bonus on top of that is we can also then employ people that we want to work with, who, we can make their lives better, because we're very passionate about flexible working, for example. We can bring that to other people. That for us is success. But again, obviously making the shows you want to make, that is cherry on top.
Hisham?
That's simple. Finding a nice client, a client who I like and they think I'm all right, and getting, thank you, and fundamentally getting a good deal done for them, where they get out of it what they need, and a happy client, getting them where they need to be, and me getting paid as well helps. But a satisfied client.
Yeah, great. Do you want to say anything to that?
Yeah, sure. So I suppose on a very basic level, to me, success is when you manage to join forces with someone else and you actually just kind of, this mad idea that was just in your head kind of gets expanded, and someone else kind of believes in it and kind of takes it forward and puts some, time or money or something themselves, and you're actually no longer just like a one-person thing, and suddenly it grows legs, and actually you're like, okay, this idea is actually going somewhere. And so even if it actually doesn't end up going anywhere apart from someone else's office desk, it's still gone somewhere out of your head. So just that little thing just feels like a little kind of success.
Great stuff. Thank you. We've had a question come in saying, how are the panel finding making the transition from creative practitioners to business owners? Who wants to have a stab at that one? Yeah, no, Hisham, we've crossed that bridge. That's
Well, I will. We find it really hard. I'm not going to lie. That's the hardest thing for us, because I think our kind of three creative directors, main company directors in the company, are all creatives, actually. And so, we find that really tricky. That's the hard thing. And I think when you start out, normally you're very much maybe a one-man band or a two-woman band, whatever it is. And you have to do everything, really. BBC will pick up the phone and say, oh, who's your business affairs person? You'll be like, well, that's me, actually. Oh, right, and who's doing your marketing? Oh, well, that's me, actually. And who's doing this? And you're like, yeah, that's me as well. And who's doing this? That's me too. And unless you get to, quite a scaled up stage, that's probably how it's going to be. So that's a good thing to be aware of. I think if I was going to give anyone some advice, then I would say, get a good business affairs person.
or Lou,
a good accountant.
You partnered with someone who has experience in the business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I absolutely, from a creative background, I was an animator and just had all these crazy ideas that were to get out into the world. And I partnered up with a guy who had so much experience in business and has kind of worked with me as in like a mentoring way, which has been so incredibly useful. And you know, he makes me do like lots of budget management and like account management and forecasting and all these scary things that. But at the same time, it's definitely not what I got into business to do. You know, as much as all that stuff is super important. But yeah, the mentoring definitely has helped streamline my understanding of the bigger picture, I guess, of, you know, trying to be businessy. Yeah.
Now, Yolanda mentioned something last night of kind of remembering our why, kind of why do we do things. So I suppose I'd like to ask, was there a moment when you remember going, yes, I want to start a business? And do you regularly go back to that point and recall that for the sake of fueling yourself in the tougher times?
Who's going to go first?
Yeah, well, you're gone.
Well, for me, it wasn't so much a determined, this is what I want to do. It was more, I just finished at the Young Audiences Content Fund, which I would have stayed with until they carried me out. But when that was closed, I was kind of left with what next. And having worked in private practice, having worked at the BBC, the BFI, and the Young Audiences Content Fund sort of exposed you to so much. You dealt with all the indies, all the broadcasters, everyone, and kind of realised, well, there's not really anyone I want to work for. And so there was that. And also, when we gave money to people, one of the first things people said was, who can do our business affairs? Can you recommend anyone? So I kind of thought, well, maybe there's a gap. Maybe there's a gap. So yeah, that's how it kind of came to be. And I do think back to it, and yeah, absolutely no regrets. It's the best thing that could have happened out of the worst thing that happened, which was the closure of the fund. So yeah.
Can anyone else recall the moment that they thought, "Yep, I want to start a business"?
But for me, it was slightly selfish, I'm not going to lie. So I'm based in Cumbria, and I love where I live, and I love this industry, and I can't think of doing anything else. So I just thought, you know, if I want to be in the place that I love, doing the thing that I love, and this is the only way, this is before everyone was remote working, which has also been a fabulous help with just crewing up and bringing in amazing people from all over the world to work on productions. But yeah, I love having that little stronghold. It feels like it's very me. It's like my baby, and yeah, that's everything.
Good.
Yeah, I think it was similar for us, really. We reached a point. We had a commission with the Acadie, and that kind of then led to us thinking, well, we can set up a company to do this, and more of this kind of stuff. But yeah, it was very much about us just wanting to make the kind of stuff we wanted to make. We knew the kind of content we wanted to make. We wanted to make things that could really touch the audience and help the audience. And we knew that we wanted to do it with the people we wanted to do it with, and we wanted to do it the way we wanted to do it, to be honest. And we had also recognised our company is very much about flexible working and working parents. And we'd recognised that there were some really brilliant people that we'd seen that had left the industry because they didn't feel they could make it work around having a family. And we were like, that is all wrong, because those people are amazing, so that shouldn't be happening. And very much we wanted that for ourselves as well, to be quite honest. We wanted that selfishly, having families ourselves, and we wanted to entice those brilliant people back to work with us. So that was kind of part of the reason why we did it.
Good.
And that's been great. They're amazing. Yeah. Those people are so dedicated.
I can personally remember a time when I was at the BBC where it felt like life-wise and career-wise, I was at a point where I was thinking, if I don't do it now, I probably won't ever do it. And I don't want to be 20-odd years down the line and regret not having done it. So there was an amount of conviction from that point of, yeah, now is the time, and if nothing else, I'm going to learn a shed load. And I think that would be my encouragement to anyone here who's considering doing it, is to, if you choose to step over that line and to go for it, it should be with that heart of wanting to learn as much as possible, rather than thinking it's going to be a fast track to fame and fortune. Though we will all be getting on our private jets later.
Did you have a commission when you did it? Because I think that's
No.
something That's really brave because it's great to have the passion and the that
Sure.
you want to make the shows you want to make, but if no one is going to make them with you, then
Yeah.
it's just I think
A question that's come in, which I think is worth us looking at, is are you just UK focused, or how do you engage with international clients? And Remy, I think you probably have most experience of being through your company able to have those international conversations.
Yeah, so I think we're really lucky. So we're working now with folk in LA, Canada, China, Ireland. So that's really opened a lot of doors. I think that's just how I always just thought from the beginning. I didn't really know there was any other way. I didn't really know you could actually co-produce the UK. I think that's probably why I kind of went international. But that's kind of really just opened a lot of doors for funding and broadcasters and things that I just don't think you could really get here. So we're going to Carton Forum in September, and that's only through the Irish company that we're partnering with. So yeah, I think that's really looking outward has been really good. So,
and we've been talking between ourselves about how useful Kidscreen has been, and the UK delegation, which has been a fantastic support. For those of you who don't know, there's the group of UK companies that go out, get an enormous amount of support, and there's a real camaraderie. And so going out into those international markets, there's that particular assistance for people who are going for the first time, and super helpful to connect. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, like my first Kidscreen, I was so scared. I was literally like almost in tears on the first day, and it was like the first time we all got together. It was like, I'm home. Like, I found my people. Like, this is great. And so yeah, it's like the friendliest, most just accessible group ever. It's a great industry. Yeah, love it.
We're going to return to the interactivity, folks. So phones on standby. We're going to just ask you a question. You get to type in, well, I think a few words here. What comes to mind when you think of starting or having your own business? We should have some kind of countdown clock music happening. Yes. There we go. I think I'm right in saying that the word becomes bigger if it's mentioned more than once. Keep it clean, everyone. There's no moderation going on here. And panel, I'm going to ask you to pick a word that jumps out at you that resonates with your own experience.
Yeah.
And this is actually like a little bit of insight into my own brain, isn't it? These kind of words flitting around. So freedom seems to be kind of a popular word. Yeah. Who has felt a greater freedom? And does that freedom come with stress as well? It's not all unbridled freedom, right?
No, that's for me the biggest thing, the autonomy, the freedom to do what you want. But yeah, stating the obvious, the flip side is you don't have a guaranteed sum dropping into your account every month. So if that's the price you pay. But for me, it's worth it. It's really worth it.
And we all reflected to one another as we chatted before the session that the beauty of being your own company is you are super close to your content. The downside is you are super close to your content. And so there's swings and roundabouts there.
Yeah, we always say that it's like having a baby when you launch a brand, because you've got to look after that thing for its entire lifetime. And you might not be in production with it, but there's still looking after that you need to do. So there is, to some extent, a freedom, but to some extent, responsibility. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
I'm going to pick out the word commissions. So people who think of having their own business think, commissions? How do you deal with the disappointments? How hard is it?
Yeah.
Because I think personally,
good
I
drink,
would
yeah.
say that it's the 1,000 disappointments that take a toll on you over time. It's difficult. It's difficult to get in through the door. It's difficult to have the conversations that really feel like you're moving your idea forward.
Yeah, it's really difficult, but I think the fundamental thing there is to have ideas that you truly believe in. Because if you truly believe in stuff, then you kind of have that drive anyway to drive them forward. And I think you've just got to accept that in this industry, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. And there are brilliant moments where everything's going your way and you're getting loads of interest and you're getting loads of commissions and you've got too much work, all the buses have come at once, whatever. And then there are going to be those moments where you're like, you know, putting ideas out all over the shop and getting rejections left, right and centre. And that's the same for all of us. That's how it goes, you know. There's no getting away from that, I think. But the thing is, you just got to keep trucking because it's all about a time and a place and the right thing, hitting the right person when it's just what they need. And if you just keep going, then at some point you're going to reach that point. I think there's a really fascinating story, isn't there? I'm sure probably lots of people in the audience know about this, but about oh God, why have I forgotten the name now? That's embarrassing. That Netflix show that's all about playing chess.
Oh, the chess one.
Gambit.
Yeah,
Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, Queen's Gambit. So apparently it took them like 30 years that person was trying to make that show. And everyone was like, we don't want a series, we don't want a drama about playing chess. Who wants that for like 30 years? And eventually it got made, and look what a huge success it was. So sometimes you can have an idea on the back burner for years and years and years and years, and it's just about finding that right moment when it chimes with the right person, or it's about the zeitgeist of the moment. You can't predict that necessarily.
Absolutely.
It's got to have fundamentals of what you believe in, and then it's just about sort of carrying on in there and finding that moment, really, I think.
And that's also the hard thing, because you can't predict that. So that's why it's so, you know, what Hisham was saying about you don't know what's going to hit your bank account every month, because you could have the best idea in the world, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be made.
Yeah. Any other words here jump out at people that they'd like to say something about? I'm enjoying zero. That's good. And the counting app advert.
Yeah, zero's great. Yeah, scary and fear are definitely things, but I think you need a little bit of fear, don't you? Like, that's quite important. And do it scared. You know, do it with the fear. And yeah, it's like what Lottie was saying. It's just having that deep down belief, and just not giving up on it, and just hopefully it won't be in 30 years, but you know, just keep going.
Did any of you write? We can take that down now. Thank you, Tim. Anyone write a business plan, or do you feel like you've taken a route that's more? I just surf the wave and I'm seeing where it goes.
Yeah. Get clients. That's really.
Two-word
I'm being
business plan.
flippant about it, but yeah, to a degree, go to events, sort of have kind of targets, so to speak. But yeah, not terribly formal.
Anyone else got a plan? Remy, you got a plan?
I did have one at the start, and then it just completely went kind of out the window. So, but I think it is important, I suppose, to have like these long-term goals and vision, and kind of like know where you're going in the journey. But I think you just got to be really flexible, because it's never going to work out that way, and it's not linear, and it's just have something in mind, and then just, you know, don't be so rigid about it.
Yeah, I was going to ask actually, how flexible or adaptable have you had to be? To what extent have you had to do work for hire kind of stuff as an animation studio, rather than just working on your own IP?
I mean, to begin with, we were like, we'll take on everything, we'll do it all, and found ourselves kind of like just scraped a bit too thin, and through that experience started to hone in on a bit more of a niche. So like, I started out as a CG animator, but now at the studio we specialize in 2D animation, and specifically hand-drawn or cell action animation, and that has really been the thing that I think kind of propelled us into where we are now. It was like being really clear about what it was that we wanted to focus on, and making it character driven, and, you know, going hard on storytelling, and, you know, as much as we need to keep the lights on, and, you know, you're always going to get the little jobs coming along when you need them too, being really clear about what you want to do and what you're putting yourself out there into the world, it's that whole like attracting that back in, and I feel like that has really made such a difference.
So would you all agree then that as you present yourself as a company, you need to be as specific to who you are, communicating who you are and what you do, as you would be with any top line of a program idea that you're putting forward?
Yes, we've not really thought of it necessarily like that, but I guess we've always been very strong with what what we stand for and the sort of shows we want to make. So
we have, but then I think also we were at the International Exchange yesterday, and people were sort of saying, so do you do one specific model? Do you do one specific thing? And we were like, no. we might work with people on their IP. We might work on our own. We might work in co-productions with people. We might work again on our own. We might, we employ people in loads of totally different ways. So it kind of, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it just sort of depends on any given project. So I think we've got like a fundamentals of kind of what our company stands for and what we do and the kind of people we want to work with and that sort of thing. But then outside of that, we're incredibly flexible around how we work, and it really just depends on the project and what comes along, and keep our doors open to any kind of model, really. Because I think you've also got to do that, haven't you?
I think we all have to be as well, don't we? Because, how the audience is consuming content, for example, is changing. So, since when we first started making TV, things are different now and, trends change. So you have to be flexible, I think. You have to be.
Yeah. Okay, so let us try and kind of zoom out a little bit. If you could all wave your magic wand and change one thing about the industry that would help small businesses such as your own, what would you change and why?
Me and Hisham were discussing this earlier, weren't we, Hisham?
We were. But what I don't think I said to you, I think the obvious thing is when I was at the BFI, we gave a lot of money to start up indie producers, one-person bands, and that got development work underway, and that's gone now. So I think some form of a version of a Young Audiences Content Fund, I think would be the biggest shot in the arm. So yeah, some sort of central government funding.
Massively.
Definitely. And also what we were talking about earlier is just maybe a bit more understanding from broadcasters about what it's like to run a small business. Because sometimes it feels like there isn't the understanding there about how tricky it is to keep that continuity going. Like, for example, on Nickel and Jay that we're working on with Chitra and Gavin in the audience, we're trying to train up a new workforce specifically in that area and bring people on. And we've got a lot of mentorship schemes and training schemes. And then, at the end of that project, we may not have another series for them to work on. So then what happens to those people? But then maybe a couple of months later, it'll be like, oh, but now we've got this that we want all those people to work on, but they've all gone somewhere else or whatever it is. So it's kind of like that understanding of the importance of continuity. And if you want to try and make an overall difference in the industry and improve things, the importance of kind of trying to make that actually practically feasible for people on the ground, I think. That's what I would want to change.
When you're not making a show, the funding isn't there.
Yeah.
That's kind of, so you can't keep people on. You can't, if you're doing a live action show, you can't store your sets. You have to sell your props. And then in 2 months' time, if you get a recommission of the same show, you've got to start again. So it's more expensive for everybody, including the broadcasters.
I've said to people that if ever I write a book in my old age, and I won't because it'd be awful, about my career, it would be called Better a Quick No Than a Long Maybe.
Yes. Oh my God, thousands of times, yes.
Maybe I will write that. It's good. Anything that you would want to change?
Exactly the same as having those opportunities to get things into development, being able to keep your teams, and there's so many creatives who are waiting for that next job right now, and to a point where I think it's freaking people out a little bit, and just to know that something is on the horizon, or there's a hope for those funding opportunities is such a big deal for small businesses and for all the artists and creatives out there.
Remy, do you want to?
Yeah, so I think the biggest barrier really to kind of pitching is getting the materials ready, and when you go to kind of funding bodies and broadcasters and things, most of the time you don't kind of fit the criteria, because unless you have a big long list of credits behind you, you just don't get anything. So, you know, it is really hard having to do that yourself from scratch with no funding. So really just some kind of, just taking away that barrier, and just getting like able to get more materials ready without the kind of, you know, the list of credits that you need would be really helpful for newbies, I think.
Yeah. I think if I could wave my magic wand, I would. I have no idea how this could happen, because I do appreciate the enormous pressure that broadcasters and platforms are under, but you just long for clear and quick communication, don't you? Like people say, it took me 3 years to get this away. It didn't really. It took you about 2 weeks. Those conversations were 3 years apart. That's the dynamic of it. You wait for months and months and months for someone to come back to you. That's the thing that feels kind of a little crippling at times, I think. Okay, we're going to just move to kind of consider what the opportunities kind of might be for people who are considering starting their own business. And there's a quote from Reese Witherspoon here. She was mentioned as part of the write-up for this session. She started the company Hello Sunshine. She probably sends her apologies for not coming here today, but she didn't reply, which is no surprise, is it? Yeah, we'll get a reply in 3 months' time. And she said, if you want to change the stories, you need to change the storytellers. So, do you feel that there is an opportunity for people who maybe haven't grown up in the industry or had maybe as long in the BBC as we three did before we started? Do you think that there are opportunities for new, fresh shoots, new ways of thinking, new voices?
Oh, yeah, 100%, of course. Oh, yeah, looking at one in the audience. Yeah, no, I think there is a real desire. I would say I do think there is a real desire from broadcasters to hear new voices and to get those stories on screen and to reflect the audience. So I think definitely, if you feel like you've got a story to tell and your voice hasn't been heard or you're underrepresented or whatever, definitely team up with someone if you need to, like we've done with Chitra. I'm sure she'll be doing her own next year. But yeah, team up with someone if you need to. But yeah, definitely, like, I think there's definitely a desire for that, and there's a willingness, and you can definitely find ways to make that happen.
Anyone else want to?
I was just going to add that with the part, the teaming up with people that have the skills that you want to learn, I think would really help as well, because, you know, it's easy for us to sit here and go, you know, you should do it because, you know, believe in your idea. But we knew how to make TV, in all honesty, when we set up our company. So, you know, you could do with sharing some skills, perhaps, if that helps, you know, but that doesn't mean that you'll have to pair it forever.
That's a good thing to maybe drill down into a little bit. The collaborations, again, something that Yolanda encouraged. To what extent have you each benefited from collaborations? To what extent have you gone into them thinking, I'm just cutting the pie up kind of even smaller? Anyone got any kind of stories about how collaborations have helped? Or
I mean, for us, collaboration is everything. It really is. And those vibrant collaborations where you bring together people who are like mad passionate about this area that you want to go into, but then they bring this wealth of knowledge and expertise from their own experiences and their own backgrounds, and then just pulling together an awesome little team. And that's when real cool stuff starts to come out, and it's very exciting. And I've learned more from that than anything at all, like pulling in people who are just like mad inspiring and can do way cooler things than I could ever dream of, and just pulling them all together.
Great. Rebby, have you got anything to say to that?
Yeah, so I think with all the conversations we've been having with all the different partners around the world, we've always been like really honest that we're just kind of a newbie, and we just want to be the minority partner and just kind of go under their umbrella, really. And that's, it's kind of worked because they've always been bigger companies and they kind of want to do like, the animation and develop it further. And they're okay us doing the kind of the pre-production, just the idea kind of stage and kind of the writing, the animatics and stuff. And that's kind of really worked because that's something we're comfortable with. And, we've kind of maybe in the future would want to learn and kind of take the bigger role. But right now we just want to be like, a little small piece of the pie, but just part of a pie.
We've had a question come in about whether any of you have received kind of funding to help you start, and it's worth touching on this kind of new storytellers kind of quote that there are funds available for diverse-led indies. There's MeWe360.com, which is a black-led not-for-profit company that champions black and Asian leadership and entrepreneurial talent in the arts and creative industries. There's kind of places like that. You've had more of a regional kind of focus. Have there been regional funding available for you?
It wasn't specifically regional funding, but we very much leaned into just getting as much support from different organisations and charities. We actually did a crowdfunder a few years ago for a short film that went on to win quite a lot of awards, which was amazing. And it was the team around it and an anti-racist charity which is set up in Cumbria. And yeah, it was a very long process, but totally worth it. And again, just brought lots of different people together and created something that we would never have been able to do just on our own.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we access as much funding as we can possibly get our hands on. I mean, why not, right? That's what we need to do. And we've accessed regional funding through working with Paper Owl in Northern Ireland on Nickel and Jay. So we've got funding from Northern Ireland Screen Fund. We've also got BBC Diversity Fund money on that for training up one of our main key directors on the series, helping go towards her salary. We've also used, we're doing Think Bigger at the moment through Screen Skills. So we're going to get a production assistant on board for the company to help out with Nickel and Jay and across other projects. And we've done a female director scheme in the past through BBC Diversity Fund. Yeah, so we access as much of it as we can possibly get our hands on. And yeah, it's really good. Like, look into as much of that stuff as you can. And if you don't know what to look for, come and talk to us or other people who do and try and get your hands on it.
About regional funding, isn't there, I think?
Oh, yeah, that's a bit later today. Gwenya's doing it, actually, from Paper Hour, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah,
Were you
it's
going
good.
to say anything, Hisham?
No, because it doesn't really apply to me and my situation.
Fair enough. That's all good. And I want to just ask a question about, this may just be me kind of here, but to what extent you feel competition when you're in a place like CMC, when you're at Kids Screen? To what extent you feel like there's only so many commissions that are going to be given out? And I chatted to an indie owner, I so want to say his name, but I won't, who said, what is it about me that when I hear someone else wins a commission, a little part of me dies? Because what I'm interested in is this kind of tension of you may or may not have that sense of competition, and yet within this children's section of the industry, there is a fantastic community, and there is a real openness to communication and collaboration as well. So anyone want to speak into that sense of competition versus
slots.
collaboration?
So add to that.
Yeah. Anyone feel that, or is that just me?
I think I don't really feel that, but I'll be totally honest and keep it real. What I do
It's
feel
easy when
is-
you're winning commissions.
Oh golly, don't we all need more of those? But I feel like there's a huge camaraderie here, and I think we're very open to giving people as much information as we can about how they can do things better for them and help them along, and really want to help other people on their way, because we've had a lot of people really help us on our way and still doing that for us, and we definitely want to be able to do that. And I think the more we can share information, the better the atmosphere, the better the industry, the better for all of us. It helps everyone to team up and share that stuff. The only time I get really competitive is when I see a show that we tried to pitch at some point on TV that's been made, and I think, yeah, we could have done that better. I'm just going to keep it real and be honest about that.
Remy, do you feel any sense of competition, or are you just a mild-mannered?
No, I don't think I do, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's because everyone's got an idea, everyone's got some story they want to tell, and you just got to think, well, if they didn't like yours, it's not if you know, if someone else gets something, it's not because like, oh my goodness, it was between yours and theirs. Like it wasn't. Like they're so different. It wasn't going to be like, oh my goodness, they've rejected yours because they've taken that. You know, so you know, it's probably because it was completely different and that fitted that slot and that was that time or some kind of thing about it that kind of suited that. But yours sits something else. So I don't think for competition it's kind of would have to feel like, oh my goodness, they haven't taken mine because they've taken yours. But it never happens that way, and I just don't think it ever kind of would, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, that's good. I've had a question about how big is your development slate? How many plates are you trying to spin? You may or may not have something in production, but you've got development stuff that you're trying to get away. Is there a magic number?
I'd say ours is huge because, you know, we're going with the Queen's Gambit 30 years type strategy. One thing that we're never short of is ideas, and that is in some ways brilliant and in some ways not. But, you know, we always prioritise maybe 4 or 5.
Or 1 or 2.
Or 1 or 2, yeah, it depends. It just depends on who you're seeing and what the zeitgeist is at that moment. But yeah, we're definitely not short of ideas.
Lou?
Yeah, we've got a good few always on the go at one time, and yeah, it's like having kids. It's just like you have to give your attention to all of them, keep them alive. But yeah, maybe. But yeah, we don't say which one. It might be obvious, but still. Yeah, so it's trying to just know that they're all there and we're looking after them all, but trying to push certain ones through when the time is right or the right person comes along. It's all that kind of aligning with what's going on and who comes into your, viewpoint in that moment, and just kind of going with your gut instinct, I think, typically.
Were you going to say something? No?
Yeah, sure. So we've got about 8 properties and kind of co-development around the world. It just kind of feels like quite a lot. But it feels like animation is it's such a long game, and some of them just sit there doing nothing for ages. So that's when something else kind of moves along, and probably some of them will kind of get dropped a bit further down. But right now they're all kind of bubbling along, and that kind of feels like it's kind of an exciting place to be when there's kind of a lot, and even if nothing's really happening, you think, well, actually something could happen, but they're there, so and they're kind of, you're edging them along slowly but surely, so
Yeah, good.
and that's, I think, that the reason I kind of got into this is to have the flexibility to have another one if you kind of have an idea and can move it forward,
Hisham, I'm going to ask you a question. We've had kind of one come in that is to the effect of, how do I know when it's right to start a company and when it's not right? I mean, I have had people bring me ideas before, and they've said, I want to get this on TV, and I'm going, you're actually doing a really good job on YouTube already. I think you're in the right place. You're actually doing the right thing. How would you counsel someone who's saying, I'm thinking of becoming a business? What things do I need to think about in order to judge whether it's right to do so or not?
I think you've kind of touched on it there, where the question is, what do you want from this? What do you want from, where do you see this? What's your ambition for it? And if you need funding, what might you have to be a corporate entity to obtain funding? Or, as you say, yeah, it all comes back to what their ambition is. And in order to achieve that ambition, what they might need. If funding requires a corporate entity, then that leads you towards thinking down that road. But where do you see it? That's I think the starting point.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. We are approaching the last kind of 10 minutes or so, so we will go to a traditional kind of Q&A in a second. So feel free to stick your hands up because I'm cricking my neck too much to keep looking at what questions have come in. So we'll go to some in a minute. I want to a light-hearted little moment first of all. How important is a company name? And Hisham, stand down. And
well, where can you go with it, really?
Yeah, you're the brand. And I'm going to ask King Banana to explain. Was there anything funny at the beginning of your name conception?
No. We called ourselves King Banana because we were making Yakadee. We wanted to have some kind of connection with the show, but not too obvious a one. And we have a little character in Yakadi who's called King Banana, who is a banana with a crown, who likes to get up and do a bit of a boogie now and again, bit like us. But yeah, the funny story comes that we put it to our accountant, this is what we want to register as. And he said, OK, but unfortunately, in order to do that, you have to get permission from the Crown because you want to use the word king in your name. And we were like, OK. And so it was like, so you can't really do that. And me and Katie were like, yeah, we're going to do that. So we wrote to the Queen at the time and asked her permission to use King Banana in our company name. We have a letter back from the Crown saying she can. So we got that framed somewhere.
But they don't have one from the National Greengrocers Association. In trouble. OK, anyone want to stick their hands up and ask a question that they may or may not have typed in? Oh, OK, you're all hiding behind the interactivity now. Yeah, we've got a couple of questions. Could we run a mic around, please? Just to someone with a hand up. Thank you. Great stuff. Go for it.
Shall I go first? I guess my question is, how casually can you run a business? I am a freelancer in the day and doing quite well in that sense, but I have IP that I want to protect, and much like you, want to feel like or have more gravitas when I approach other companies, because I feel that will deal with me a bit more readily. Is that something that you found very beneficial?
Yeah, personally, yeah, definitely. We're still doing the advertising on the side. I think you do need to have that flexibility of being able to kind of juggle lots of things because, it's such a long-term game. But I think, personally, I think that it does give you a lot more gravitas. You do kind of meet different people at the table and just go to different events that, just are for businesses, basically. And then you just... it just has opened a lot of doors. So as long as you're able to kind of juggle what you're doing with kind of a long-term plan of, okay, this might take a long time and it's going to open doors, but not immediately. And it's still going to take, it's long and expensive. Is animation you're doing?
Pre-production subject
okay.
on my own.
So yeah, it's a long-term game. But as long as you're okay with juggling that, I think, it has, for us, definitely, because I personally was going as a freelancer before I set up the company, and yeah, it's just been kind of apples and pears really, personally. So yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you. Question there.
Kieran with Fitzrovia. Great chat. Thanks for sharing. I think it's really brave to run your own business, and I think it's underrated how lonely it can be a lot of the time. I was wondering from each of the panelists if you could share just like one sort of mantra that sticks with you all the time. For example, mine is always be ready to pivot, and I don't have all the answers, but I back my people.
Great stuff. That sounds like a good one.
Like that one.
Thank you. Anyone got a mantra? We'll come back to you on... we'll be back after this short break.
I don't think we've got a mantra, but just to say, you saying about it being lonely, just to sort of talk about partnerships. Lottie and I have got each other. We've got another creative director as well and other people that work for us, obviously. But having a creative partnership like this, if you can find somebody who's got a similar outlook to you, who's got similar creative vision to you, I can't recommend that enough, because we probably give each other mantras every day. It's like a marriage in some ways. You go through births, deaths, divorces, marriages together. You live together, essentially. So that would be a tip I'd give, and just to...
As long as it's the right person.
OK. Right. Monica's split you
sorry,
up then.
she's
I
the
thought
right
that was an
person.
intervention.
But if you had the wrong one, it might be very tricky.
because it is like a marriage.
We'll have a chat afterwards. Anyone else got any mantras or things that they live by?
I'm just thinking back to what I said before about, do it scared. Just, little bit of fear is a good thing. Just do it scared.
Good stuff. Fantastic. Have we had the mic go around anywhere else? Yeah, thank you.
I just, excuse me, juggling back to the juggling point that was made. Have you got different company names for your different entities? Because if you are, for instance, doing more advertising work, like Remy, as well as obviously trying to develop IP, are you you know, do you have a different company name you use for your advertising work compared to the production company?
Hadesman is just for the series, for the animation series, yeah. So that was that all the advertising was kind of like in the kind of the freelance side of then just kind of that's under the freelance name. So yeah, Hadesman, we just wanted it to be purely just animated series, so it wouldn't get kind of muddled up with advertising, really, basically.
You've got basically two limited companies, one as a consultant, one as a production.
Basically, yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? You've got a mic. Fantastic. Go for it.
Yes, hi. Sorry, it's not a very glamorous question. But so obviously if you have a creative network and you know who you're working with on things on your slate, how have you gone about finding and who or what has been the most beneficial for the unglamorous things, other than an accountant? Like, have you found any sort of non-creative hire really useful when things start getting kind of difficult to organize? Do you have any advice about that? Like a certain ops or admin person to bring in, or what has helped you once you've been growing, keep on top of it?
Good. Anyone want to answer that?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we've fairly recently actually just brought in a kind of business development person to the team. Is that in the audience? Tracy over there, who's also creative, but also does a lot of our business development and is much more business-minded than us, because we don't really have that skill set so much. We're learning, but we don't have that skill set so much. And yes, I mean, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, that's a huge thing. If it depends on, obviously, your personal skill set. What you always want to do is find people who can complement what you've got and try and find the people who can fill the gaps for you. So again, I guess it's about trying to find the right people who you feel want to do it, the different stuff to you, but in the similar kind of way, in a similar kind of vein. And then obviously it's hard sometimes to be able to afford those people and to keep those people on, and but it can be definitely, from our point of view, it's very worthwhile because it represents a skill set that we don't really have, and it brings an awful lot to our team that can hopefully help carry us forward. So yeah, it's an investment.
I'd absolutely concur with that as well. I think there's obviously a high degree of needing to do a bit of everything kind of when you're starting out, but to know yourself as well as you can, to know which bits that really don't give you joy, which bits really do kind of make you feel empty quite quickly. Those are the ones to try and find people to come in who love that stuff. That's when, it's most helpful. We've got a question down here. Oh, sorry, we're going to go over this side just for the sake of evenness. We haven't got a mic down here. Forget that. We'll go over there. Yes, sir.
I'll happily take the mic while the mic's being transferred over there. So I'm a student. I've just graduated, and I want to kind of start my own company. And there's obviously the big question about funding and financing. And I was wondering, how much of a financial safeguard should you have in place before looking at starting a company? Because I know that at the moment, having just come off being on a student budget, money is basically non-existent to me at the moment. So it is a case of, how do you get set financially before making that start?
Well, we only spend what we have, if I put it that way. So we've never had any financial backing in that sense. In some, getting to the point where you can start making money off your IPs and keeping the business going like that. But in terms of starting up, I mean, when we first got our first commission, we were still working freelance as a director and as a writer. And we had the commission, I think, probably for about a year before we started working on it, didn't we? So and then we lived off, then it was the money that came in through the production. So there wasn't, I mean, I'm sure there are ways of doing it, but that's the way we did it. And I'm not necessarily saying that's the best way, but that's how we did it. We didn't have any financial backing. Did anyone else?
We're tight for time now, so I'm sorry we haven't answered your question kind of more fully, but there's one thing that I want to get quick sound bites from as many of you as possible before I wind us up. What do you wish you'd been told before you started? What do you like? Oh, gosh, I wish I'd known that at the time. Anyone want to chip in?
Get a good accountant and a good business affairs person.
Hisham can put you in touch with... Anything else from you both? What do you wish you'd been told before you started?
So it's not just a nice little mantra soundbite, but for me, I've always found in the moments in between projects or in between like clients finishing and the next one starting, you don't know when it's coming, and it can really be a bit freaky that you're like, what's next? And rather than panicking about it, which is very easy to do, I've always found in those moments to dig in to your own creativity. Do that little thing that keeps popping up in your head that you don't normally get a chance to. Like, take those moments as gold dust to work on something for you. And I've always had more stuff come from those moments than any client project I've ever had.
And I think that's a great way to end. So thank our panel.